or a couple of you chime in together and give me some sort of recap. But seeing as we have some extra fans and other players joining us for this first session, I will go ahead and take the recap off of your table. And if I leave anything out that you feel is important to the story, uh, don't hesitate to chime in at the end and let me know, because I kind of just did an overarching summary of what's happened so far. So, essentially, we're going to begin with something that I haven't done in a long, long time, which is a little bit of lore. Um, you see, we journey to a place known as Azagar. It is a continent, a multi-continent, like planetoid type place. And on this planet, there is 7 continents, some that we know names of, some that we don't. Our story currently takes place on the continent of Iriu, which is a very funky spelling, and I will not expect you to know how to spell it off the bat, but it's Irux. Um, and the other continent that we have talked about extensively is another continent called Valdian. And Valdian is basically like a worn-torn kind of mountainous nation with some grasslands off to the side, and there's constantly battles and feuds over the land masses adjoining there. Um, Within the nation of Iriu, unlike a lot of the other continents in this world, Iriu is predominantly one government. So basically, a government solely took over the entirety of Iriu, and their whole government and like the nation's name is Iriu. Um, Iriu is an island nation. There's lots of tropical forests, and there's a small little like tropical style oasis desert spanning the middle of the country between the 2 mountain ranges. Um, this is where the city of Samara is located, which is where our story began. Samara is a trade hub where people from all over the world will travel here and deposit goods. It's one of the main thoroughfares for Iriu, and it's where all of the many, many goods that get delivered to the various nation states here thrive. Um, we first met our original 3 adventurers in the city of Samara, and they ended up journeying from Samara on a quest that they found themselves wrapped in, based on a couple of journals and some narrative guides, which were left within the dungeon that they had all been held in. Some mysterious paperwork and some traveling doors, and a notebook that contained inscriptions of traveling gates and locations that are far off and maybe in other planes. These 3 adventurers joined together, and we still know of 2 of them. Uh, those 3 adventurers would be Lorik, Carissa, and another adventurer who has recently been deceased, Rena. Um, Rena was a young elven slash Eldraine mage from the Feywild who got trapped on the material plane, and over the course of the first early parts of our game, ended up coming into the powers of the Elven Oracle, a pretty prominent station in the world of elves, as it is someone who can basically see various futures and kind of predict oncoming events and calamities and things like that. They're super important. Um, but the station is often thought about pretty highly among the elves. Um, Secondarily, we've met Lorik, who was a bit of a mysterious figure, um, a roguelike individual who doesn't like to talk about his past. And third, we met Carissa, a devotee of the goddess Mistra and a paladin of such. Um, she once lived in another elven nation that exists far off in the concords of Valdian, and They all end up traveling here via various methods, but were abducted and kept within this dungeon. Shortly after they leave this town and Rena inherits the vision of the Elven Oracle, we move on to a town called Wandermere, um, which is where the next big set piece of our story takes place. Um, I should very briefly mention, however, that there was also a city named Masara, and it was on the far northern end of the continent. Masara has a very brief interlude in our story, but it's essentially where Lorik met his deity, um, the goddess Midnight, and where we also learned that Carissa is the last remaining member of the following of Mistra on the material plane. Some ritual had been conducted, the followers of Mistra had been summoned and destroyed within the ruins of a temple once devoted to a different deity. Um, Upon the various pile of holy symbols, the extraplanar metal that these holy symbols were created from turned into a weapon, which Carissa still wields. As we journey from this town, we learned yet another detail about the world, which is that there is a mysterious trade of life and death certificates and life certificates being signed and attributed to people who may have never existed. Interesting indeed. As we travel further into the continent towards Wandermere, we discover that a sword has been lost. A sword known as Veritas. A sword that can cut through anything. And upon it, within the town, there was located a man named Findamir Cyprus, a hero of old who once wielded Veritas and destroyed an ancient dragon who lived within a city um, that had basically a large amount of gold and a vault and things like that. Um, I should mention that this city uh, is known as Wandermere, and upon the structure of this giant cascading city, um, they built it over the top of the ruins of this dragon's hoard. Um, and the many adventurers worked together with some of Fendemir's old contacts, uh, a powerful wizard from Valdian named Mal, and his faithful companion, Shade, who was a monkly type figure. Um, the three of them, as well as our adventurers, all journeyed within the bank vaults to discover that they were attempting some sort of dark ritual. And there was a man named Naren who existed within the halls of this cave, um, and he had corrupted the local town officials to work for him, and they were excavating some sort of dark crypt or vault. Um, Upon journeying into the ventures of this uh, vault, we discovered that there was some sort of ritual taking place to reconstitute this dragon that Endemir had defeated a long time ago, a lieutenant of Asmodeus himself. And our adventurers stopped them. But at what cost? The city of Wandermere had been utterly laid to siege, destroyed and afflicted by a dangerous smog. Creatures royal in the smog, destroying towns and villages, buildings, murdering soldiers en masse. It is a bloody sight to be held. But recently, a group of Drake Wardens has arrived in the nation of Iriu, the constabulary, if you will, the police. Um, they arrived to help try and make matters better, and under their jurisdiction, the city's condition has improved. However, our adventurers learned of some dangerous dealings. A member of Lorik's past, excuse me, sorry, a member of Lorik's past came back to haunt him, Shanant, a rogue-like figure who once betrayed Lorik in a dealing that is left to some mystery. However, upon confronting Shanant, the group is not convinced that Shanant is now dead. Um, they went through some of Shanant's effects, where Lorik learned some dark truths about the world that may become unveiled in this very session. Interesting and exciting indeed. However, uh, the sword Veritas had been spotted and had been stolen away. And to top things off, a very interesting man known by the name Adrian spoke with one of our party members, Carissa, about the joys of faith and how they can guide you to destiny beyond your own comprehension. Shortly after these conversations, our adventurers headed back to their pseudo residence of the time, the Nevermore, which is a lovely hotel run by a unseen servant who has been ethereally conjured, and he's bound to the service of this hotel and any of its guests. He is to provide any and all services they request, as long as they are a guest of the hotel. And should someone threaten a guest of the hotel, well, things get a little bloody. However, our adventurers are now out and about within the city, and this is where we left off last session. I believe I very quickly ran through all of the events that have taken place in the campaign so far, with the exception of some solo story stuff that we did on the side with some of our newer characters, which we will come to introduce at some point during this episode. But first, we're very quickly going to throw to some of our established characters. Laura, would you please describe your character for everyone once again? And then tell me, I want you to list where you are, what you are currently doing, and what the weather is like.
Certainly. I am playing Lorik, uh, going by several different names over his lifetime, Nerlin, Lorik, Sarlaya. I am a young elf, probably around 120 years of age. I'm about 5'8". I have pale green, or rather pale red hair, and dark brown eyes. I am wearing a large black overcoat that covers a large majority of what I'm wearing. Underneath, I have what appears to be some rather unorthodox armor. It is a guard's uniform, specifically that of a captain's, um, of the city that we are currently within. And for those of us that have been here for some time, know quite clearly that I am no guard. Um, at my side, I carry a long red dagger that is coated in blood evermore. Uh, and let's see, what else have I got on me? I have a small cat that often rides upon my shoulder. However, it tends to meld into my back to and fro, really doing as it pleases. This cat's name is Seraph, for those who are curious. Currently, I am within the city, making my way toward the docks. It is probably foggy, however, nearing the edge of the ocean here, the fog has begun to clear as people begin to board ships and not necessarily return to their daily life, but they're working their way towards fixing that. It is sunny, partly cloudy. Beyond the fog that I am trudging through, I am likely running from rooftop to rooftop, trying my best to stay out of sight and making my way directly towards a certain ship that I have had my eye on for the past 20 or so minutes on.
Perfect. So we join you here on your adventurous escapades here to the docks. Um, as you peered across the waterway here, you saw the cloak of this man named Adrian that I discussed previously. Um, and you decided you were going to go ahead and take a closer look. I mentioned to you it might take you some time to come around to the side, but you certainly would make it there before the ship decided to leave. We're going to go ahead and speed that up, and we're going to say that you have just now come up upon this boat, this ship. It's a ferry. It's got lots of like different shipping type containers on board, big wooden crates, some made of wrought iron metal. Um, and various locations strapped, tied, and held within the confines of the ship to its best of its ability. You get the idea that shipping in many parts of this world is still a viable and very like lucrative job, but it comes with the added benefit that if you're a shipping company, you're usually overwhelmed, and generally your ships are pretty bogged down by the traffic that you receive. Um, with that being said, as you arrive near this shipping vessel, you can see that there are a group of sailors quickly ferrying things on board, tying things down you know, tying knots very hastily, checking the sails. They're doing all sorts of things to prepare this vessel for the journey that it will have ahead. It looks like they did a rapid conversion from keeping people safe in the city. This looks like one of the many ships that was probably ferrying people from the different rings of the city up and down to safe haven. And it has rapidly been converted, and they are going back to get on their shipping schedule. With that being said, um, we are coming up to this ship. You hear the various crew members tying things up. There's rigging, and you can hear like a bosun aboard the ship yelling to some of the sailors, "Light off!" As they finish tying something. You can see that they're quickly ushered themselves somewhere else as the bosun begins to take charge somewhere else on the deck of the ship that you cannot see. Um, what would you like to do? There's a ramp that kind of leads up from the dock here, and you can see that the dock kind of extends out in lanes, kind of like a parking lot, if you will, if it gives you the best clarity. There is a dock on both sides of where a ship would be located, and it seems that this is done to best like orchestrate unloading and loading of ships. It can be done from both sides at the same time, simultaneously, um, and then the ship can, push off and cast away. Uh, to the many areas of the world.
Certainly. Does this ship look like one that could travel intercontinent?
Yes. This looks like a ship that was, here for business that had to do with shipping. And then because of this recent like tragedy that occurred over the last couple days, has been deviated itself to help, but is now got to make like, schedule and decides to go ahead and pack up and get going. But this ship is definitely seaworthy. Across the vast oceans of the world, have to have a little bit of a bigger ship. This certainly looks like it would do the job.
All right. And remind me, didn't Adrian come with somebody when we last met them?
Yes, Adrian has an unnamed bodyguard, who is a large paladin type, wearing very brilliant and shining plate armor. It's a silver color, and the man stands to be about 7 foot tall. He's large and he doesn't speak very much, but he is very strong.
Did I tell a race from the vantage point that I have?
Let's see. I mean, even with your passive perception, um, I would think it'd be very difficult because he's wearing all of this like armor and it's very hard to see. He's even wearing like a helmet. He's not like no helmet or anything like that. But I think even with all of that kind of um obscuring your vision, the best kind of guess that you could come to is this man is either a race of individuals who can grow to be quite this tall, like a Goliath of some kind, or he's just a really juiced kind of human. Like the guy's just big. Um, but you don't get the idea that like he's like elvish or anything. Like he doesn't carry himself like an elf, and he's not nearly small enough to be like a dwarf or anything of that nature. So he's probably either got some giant in him, he's a human, or he's some sort of Goliath.
Okay.
But as you approach up to the docks, you can see all of the different people kind of running around. It's very hectic, which is actually really good for you because it makes it really easy to blend in with kind of the chaos going around. But you can see, there's a kind of a shipwright who's got like a clipboard. He's kind of signing for stuff as stuff enters and stuff leaves. And then you can see that the people up on the deck are kind of ordering people around to do different things. You see that Adrian, when you saw him before, was entering and like boarding the ship, but he has probably since ducked below and gone somewhere in the ship.
Certainly. Give me 1 second. I'm just checking something.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. I will step out of whatever alcove I found myself in, um, and my face will take the form of one of the various dock workers that are working on another nearby boat.
Sure enough, you have a magical item that allows you to do that, and we'll go ahead and proceed from there. What would you like to do?
I'm going to do my best to appear busy and work my way towards the ship. Um, do my best to blend in with the crowd, pushing boxes here and there, working my way towards the um, door that Adrian took to go below deck.
Cool.
I will also leave my Seraph within eye line, but nearest the closest exit to me.
Sounds good. Go ahead and roll me a performance check.
Oh, I'm just so great at performance. Oh, that's not bad. That's an 18.
An 18 is pretty good. You get the idea that nobody's really paying attention to you. Even with that roll, you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm able to just kind of venture on through. You work your way up the ship, no problem. You very quickly find yourself at like a door that would allow you to enter a staircase that would take you below deck.
Sure enough, I will make my way below deck.
Cool. You wander down below deck and you see this first deck is filled with like looks like powder reserves and maybe like a kitchen with a bunch of boxes and barrels and things of like water and all the types of things you might need to cross the sea. Um, you see that the barrels that have like liquids contained within them actually have like arcane seals placed on them in a way. Um, you would know what this is. This is like an abjurative type magic that prevents this water from being basically corrupted by the salt water of the air and things like that. This just makes the water stay fresh as you travel along the sea. Um, and you begin wandering around down here. This looks like just a place where there's a bunch of stuff that gets kept to like load cannons and things like that in case you get attacked. There's also an armory down here where it looks like there's various forms of blunted swords and stuff that haven't really been taken care of. A couple of flintlock pistols, and as you venture through and further, you get towards the bow of the ship. There's another staircase that brings you down, which looks to be more like a crew quarters where people sleep. Um, you get the idea that there's probably maybe a couple of private rooms. You've traveled on ships like this before, towards the stern of the ship.
Right, that's where I make my way.
Cool. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so you head towards the stern of the ship. Once again, you're kind of just venturing down here. You still look like one of the people who work on the ship. Um, and as you begin to make your way through, let me just very quickly roll something. Okay, um, it looks like there are other crew members down here, but it doesn't look like you've drawn any attention by being below deck at this current moment, which is, people loading the ship. It would be a pretty hectic time. Looks like there are a couple people who may have just gotten off a shift, helping load round the clock, and they're coming down to sleep. And so people have just kind of assumed you're a part of that group. Um, and you begin to make your way through, all the way to the back of the ship, where you do see a couple of private quarters. Um, they all appear to be kind of closed. There perhaps are guests within, perhaps not. Um, but depends on what you would like to do. Are you going to attempt to enter any of these, or I guess what is your kind of goal with going after Adrian here? Are you trying to maybe get to talk to him, or do
Yes, I'm
you?
looking for a simple conversation.
Cool. Um, I think you would find Adrian within his room here, his humble study. And I think you get the idea that while there are multiple rooms down here, Adrian has at least purchased one for him and one for his compatriot separately. They don't sleep in the same room. And you would simply probably hear him having some sort of muttered conversation as he scribbles into some sort of notebook of some kind. As you probably walk up and can hear him on the other side of the door.
And I listen in on his muttering.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a perception check just to see what you can hear.
That was a 29.
A 29 is pretty good. On the other side of the door, Adrian is, as I said before, writing into a notebook, but he is occasionally mentioning some stuff out loud. You hear mention of him saying something to the effect of, made contact with the young Mistress Dawn, or her party anyway. Not sure exactly what to do about that, but we'll continue there. Our schedule should lead to Valdian next, and then after that, I shall probably head back home and see what they have going on there, and maybe I have to stop to see Renilda once again, but who knows? She's always a bit of a pain. You see, he's kind of just speaking to himself about his plans and the things he's got going on.
All right. I would like to, as stealthily as possible, open the door by picking the lock.
Okay, go ahead and roll that lockpick check. I mean, it's not very difficult. DC probably about 10. So I would throw it at.
I cannot fail.
Yep.
Yep,
So
I
you
succeed.
pop the lock, easy as pie, and the door swings open.
I would like to do this as quietly as possible.
Sure. As far
Uh,
as you're aware, no one's heard you yet.
and the old perception check, see if there's any wires hanging in the way, making sure he hasn't trapped the room.
Doesn't look like it.
All right. I will simply step in and begin peering over his shoulder.
Cool. You peer over his shoulder. You see a very ordained looking notebook. It's got very fine leather on it. It's bound by like people who appear to be like very good at binding books. Um, Perhaps like masters of some kind. Um, Further than that, you see that he is writing in pretty significantly expensive ink. He's writing in like 50 gold piece ink. This is something that you would know just from your experiences in your past. Um, and you see that he's writing just some of the things he's speaking to. He's got like a little schedule he's written out here. And then you can see that, it looks like he was supposed to meet with Blue Crown, which he had circled, but he has lined it out with some sort of like note off to the side that says missing. Um, you see that the schedule now dictates he's going to head to Valdian to potentially meet with some of the different nation states there. This is actually set to ship out to the Concord and is going to meet in basically the capital city of the Concord in Valdian, which is where the ship will moor after it leaves this port. Beyond that, you can see that he just has some like footnotes, things that he kind of mentioned about visiting this woman named Renilda. Um, and he doesn't really discuss any of the business there, but you do see he's written some like bullet points below where he might put some things he might need to discuss with this person. Um, are
And
you going to just sit
I
and wait?
can I tell if he's more of a pawn or a playmaker?
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
That is a poor roll. Bad. 13.
Hard to read.
Right. I'll do once over around his room, just make sure, sort of take in what this person carries with them before I begin my conversation.
Sure. Um, he travels light. It seems like he's wearing the clothes he currently wears. He has this book, and then he has a bag, like a backpack, that's sitting in the corner. But you would notice that he was not the one carrying the bag. His help was carrying the bag earlier, so it looks like they share a bag basically, and it has some of his effects in it. But when they walk, he just kind of shepherds around. And then you see on the table there's a what looks to be like this equivalent of a rosary for this kind of religion. But it is basically a set of red cord that has been twisted and bound in such a way to create like a very intricate knot pattern. Um, and then it is tied in such a way that it is adjoined to what looks to be like some sort of brass kind of bar that he can hold on to with his hand and perform some sort of ritual.
All right. I will take the man's appearance and just slowly lean over his shoulder and speak to him. Usually,
Uh,
one keeps their bodyguard close.
cool. So you are going to assume his form.
Correct.
Okay. So you assume his face. You lean in and say, usually someone keeps your bodyguard close. Um, you see that he sets the quilt in the book, and without moving, he simply says, well, men who have needs of bodyguards around the clock with little to no evidence purely are not men of faith. I don't know what to tell you. I trust in my God and their protection of me. What do you want? How can
My
I help
faith
you?
is strong. I simply curious about your goals here.
Hmm.
You
Many are.
managed to make your way down to a underground tavern per se. I hear you
Hmm.
made quite a spectacle there.
Oh, are you talking about the gentleman with the cloak from the Cerulean Empire? Um, those people of Valdian, they always find a way to worm their way into tough conversations, I should say. I was merely doing your friend a favor, I thought, but perhaps not.
Friend, you say? Intriguing.
Oh, your illusion has no effect on me, I'm afraid. You see, I welcome all of Ilmatter and the rest of their children, as they are, truly encompassing.
And what is it you see?
I see a scared boy. What do you see of me?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Hmm. Yes. Well, as I mentioned to your friend in the bar, I'm on a path of retribution. I'm looking to right a lot of the wrongs I had early in life. And sometimes those conversations end in bloodshed. And for that, I must apologize. If I caused any issue by having my man torch the other, I apologize.
Nay, no issue on my part. Now, for what reason did you need to speak to this Dawn here as I sort of point down to their notebook?
Mm, yes. Well, she's another lost soul of mine, a child who was truly tortured in a way that I can never apologize for. But I seek to make it right. And if I had been able to have a conversation with her, I would have let her know that as well.
And for what reason should they have to trust you, given their past?
Hmm. That is fair. But it's funny. Many people always find that men of faith are distrustful in some way, but I seek to alleviate that by being the most honest version of myself. I'm trying to be a part of the solution, not the problem.
Strange solution coming into places best left undiscovered and murdering people in cold blood.
I wouldn't necessarily call it cold blood. But I see your point. It does look rather odd for a priest to venture into such unconventional locations. But the sinners don't come to the church, uh, as many often would. You see, if you really want to be an effective speaker, a person who peddles and champions your faith, you have to go to the masses where they live. You see? Turn them around at the source, not in the confessional. People who come to confession, they're not looking for redemption. They're looking for pity, solace, temperance. I don't do any of that. It's not my style.
And tell me, should I want to get into contact with you again? How should I?
Simply pray to Ilmater that our paths might cross. I'm sure my God has a way of bringing us in connection once again. Or perhaps maybe I'll visit you at your family home. I'm sure your father misses you quite dearly.
I'm sure he does. Well, this has been an enlightening conversation. I hope your trip
That's
goes swimmingly.
careful choosing words such as those. That could be dangerous for a transcontinental shipping lane, but I'll accept it for what it is. Thank you very much for your good omen, and I give you the blessings of Ilmater as well. I hope you endure this life that you have forged for yourself, and I do hope that our paths cross once again. Should you ever be in need of my services, let me know.
I'm sure we will meet again.
My question
Okay,
for you, you asked quite a few of me. Do you mind if I ask one?
feel free.
Did your friend inform Dawn of my proclamation?
Well, it seems as though Dawn has become a lost soul once more. I was
Oh,
curious if you had anything to do about it, but given our conversation, I think not.
uh, if you do find her, let me know. I would love to potentially help her in some way.
Well, may you find your way through the dark. And I will turn to step out of the door. And
Oh, very quickly. Um, you see that he very hands above the table. Um, if you don't mind, I would love to give you a parting gift.
I give him a small, just blow of the nose, just almost a chuckle. All right.
You see, he reaches towards the table, picks up this brass item with this rope attached to it, and you see he yanks very quickly at the cord and breaks the cord off from the bronze metal and hands you the red cord. A token, if you will. Um, if you ever find yourself at a Church of Ilmater and need assistance, this should grant you some passage.
Well, I'm sure I'll make use of it.
You are quite resourceful.
It seems so are you.
Only when I have to be. Only when I have to.
And I will turn to leave and disappear in a puddle of shadows.
Yeah. Um, you a strange piece of this interaction that occurs to you as you leave. He never once looked at you. Um, and you disappear. Where are you going from here? Where's the next step on your journey?
I will slowly make my way back to the Nevermore, just sort of
Very
pondering over the
cool.
conversation I've had, donning the appearance of any random villager I see along the way, um, fumbling the red cord over in my hands um, for a while before tossing it to Seraph to inspect and perhaps play with.
Seraph begins to tear at this cord in a way that a cat playfully does with something it's not intent on destroying, but something that it, you know, wants to manipulate in a way that it could perhaps play with in a better sort of stance. You see that some of the cable begins to fray. Um, as you do so, and you begin to leave, you see that there is a person exiting the ship, um, and they're wearing a traveling cloak. Um, Elikas, would you please describe your character for us as you are talking to a shipwright who is checking you out of the ship? You have arrived um, with some of your possessions, belongings, and you are collecting them. And so you see that you are speaking with someone who is basically giving you the ability to retrieve your items.
So, Ilokas is a tall, 6 foot figure. Uh, all that really can be seen is a uh, really long, dark, black cloak with little tuft of hair in the front. They seem very lanky, very not not weak, but not an adventurer kind of look. Um, and what they're receiving is uh, their belongings that were taken from them.
Yeah, you see the shipwright is going, all right, all right. I have for you a leather satchel bag right here. And you see he pulls it out from like a box that he has behind him. And he kind of hands it over to you. And you see he goes, hmm. And then there was a mention of a book of some kind. Is this the book you have? As he begins to hand it back over to you. Um, uh, Elikas, this person is attempting to hand you your items in a way that will um, get you done with this interaction quickly, but he wants to make sure that you are receiving your items. Uh,
Ilukas just nods and then takes their belongings and makes their way off of the ship. Uh, just trying to get out of there as fast as possible.
you see the shipwright simply goes, "Oh, uh, Ilukas, if you don't mind signing the shipping manifest, just so we can say that we don't have your stuff anymore, in case you decide to come back and say you lost it or something. Here you go." And you see he hands you a clipboard with like a pen or some sort of like pencil kind of device, and hands it over to you.
Ilukas sighs, turns around, looks at the writing device curiously, and then just scribbles and then puts it back on the clipboard and then turns around and then like walks away.
As you go to walk away, you see he takes the clipboard back from you and he goes, "No tip, all right." As he as he goes to put the stuff away. And you see he goes, "All right, next customer." As you walk off. Um Lorik, you just see this interaction occur at the bottom of this ramp. This sullen shipman just so depressed that it feels like he doesn't get many tips at all. But he certainly was expecting this guy or this person, who definitely was dressed in such a way that he was like, all right, maybe, perhaps I will get something this time. Uh, Ilkaz walks away and he goes, all right, struck out again. All right.
And can I tell what Elikas looks like beyond their clothing?
um, I think Elikas gave a brief description of their appearance. But they are a fairly like tall-ish individual, not like so tall that they're like 7 feet or anything, but 6'2". Um, they have like their hair is a very interesting kind of color. It's got like white and blacks in it, as if it looks like some sort of like fad style that people would do in cities where they like dye their hair. But the difference is you can generally tell when somebody's used dye to like change the color of their hair. Um, this person has not used any sort of dye to change their hair color. This is just a natural occurrence for them. Um, and you see that they're actually traveling quite light for somebody who has just traveled across the sea to come to this place. You would expect somebody to have more baggage.
Well, I have no reason to stay here. I continue alone.
For sure. You venture off into the city, and sneak off and away. Um, Ilokas, quick question for you. As you venture into the city, where are you going? Are you going to? I'm going to give you three options, and you can tell me which of them you would like. Um, are you going to find somewhere to stay? Are you going to conduct your business? or are you attempting to find an old friend?
Uh, what time is it?
It's early morning.
Then I'm probably going to search around for a place to stay first, just so I can be prepared. And then after that, I will probably just wander around looking for books.
Okay. As you begin to wander around, just give me a perception check to kind of listen. I understand that Elikos probably wouldn't ask people where to stay, but if you're listening in a city full of people, you might hear some information. So that's where we're gonna go with this.
Damn, a 9.
A 9. The only thing you're really hearing from people is how dreadful the last like 36 hours have been for this city. Um, People keep mentioning a place that a lot of people are going to stay, that has been getting glowing reviews. It is a place that really not like it's kind of mysterious. People are like, "Oh, I've never heard of that place. That's strange, but it sounds lovely." Um, there's a tall, kind of picturesque, Gothic mansion style building called the Nevermore, and it's not super far from where you're currently located. But you hear they give great service to guests.
Right, I'm headed over.
Cool. We cut away from Elikos as you head towards the Nevermore. Lorik, you would note that you and Elikos, if you head towards the Nevermore, are heading in the same direction. Um, Venturing further, we cut back to the Nevermore, where we find our next PC. Balthazar, would you please describe your character for everyone here? And then tell me what you're doing in this moment, and if you have company or not, who are they?
So Balthazar is a 7 foot tall, iron warforged. He's black with, at this point, he's like black shining metal with like brass accents. He's got a singular white eye in the middle of his forehead.
Mhm.
He's got long, metallic clawed hands, and he's presently scratching the head of one of his puppets that he has punched next to him. And I think what happened last time was everybody kind of left that dining room,
Mhm.
and it's just him and Poe.
Uh, yes. That is where we left off. Is that where you'd like to currently be?
Um, yeah, I think so.
Okay. So we join you in the dining room. And you are currently enjoying the ambiance of this room that has been adorned with food. Um, there is a number of things that are used to create various types of drinks. As I mentioned before, there is a sand pit in the middle of the table that has been used to make in our world a version of like Arabic coffee. So it's got this like hot sand, and there's this big like metal decanter that has coffee kind of cooking inside. And as you take it off, you can set it on a flagstone to keep it warm, but not to the point where it's going to cook. Um, and there are various options to make tea. There's a way to steep tea. There's a way to like do kind of like a slow simmer type tea thing. There's also just like tea bags, and you can put them in hot water. It looks like Poe is trying to accommodate a vast variety of tastes in one location. And you mentioned that Poe is in the room with you.
Mhm.
Poe has probably been journeying back and forth within the hotel, delivering food and drink to the various guests that are currently staying within the network. So there may be a section where you catch him kind of walking in or out. And at this moment, you would see that he is leaving the kitchen with plates in his hand as he ventures on up to leave the room.
Poe.
Yes, how may I help you, Balthazar?
How well do you know Lorik?
Whoa, hold on. Let me do a skippy.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna have to leave the music page open just to make sure we're good.
Copyright.
Copyright. Yeah, we'll see. Cool. Yeah, go ahead and continue with your conversation with Bo. My apologies.
How well do you know Lorik?
Master Lorik, I must say I know quite a bit about him, but not to the extent that you might say we're old friends or anything. Just standard things you know about your guest. Why?
Where do you think he is right now?
I couldn't imagine the many things that Master Lorik might be up to. But,
His head, Balthazar's head slowly turns over to that floating white glove and just says, "Yes."
if I had to guess, let's see if he takes a stab at it. Probably enjoying the local library?
Lorik in the library. That's why I like you, Poe. You're so funny.
Yep.
Balthazar just starts walking away.
Good day to you, Master Balthazar. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. You see that Poe was going to journey past you and walk up the stairs before you stopped him. Instead, he waits for you to kind of venture out and go wherever you're going to head so that he's not in your way. And after he waits for a brief moment, he then heads out and goes up the stairs to head to wherever he was delivering this food to. Where do you head within the Nevermore, Balthazar?
I am looking for Carissa.
You're gonna look for Carissa. You venture up to Carissa's room. Carissa, remind me, are you still in the Nevermore, or did you head out this morning to go do something?
I think after breakfast, I think I took. What did I do? I took the letter, and I think I went up to the library.
The library.
So I should be in the library, in the Nevermore.
So you're up on the 7th floor of the Nevermore here, and you're in the local library. Carissa, would you please describe what your character looks like for everyone who is joining us, just so that we all have a description?
Of course. So Carissa has kind of medium like strawberry blondish hair. She has blue eyes. She's relatively tall. She's about 5'8", 5'9". The most striking feature about her is that she actually has a kind of swirling gold tattoos kind of all over like her forehead and on the tops of her cheeks. Long story short, her and a few of her other friends got rip-roaring drunk the night before, like they were going to be officially swear their vows to their deity, and all decided to basically sneak into the temple and swear unofficially while drunk, and she ended up basically with her paladin oath on her face. So that's probably the most striking thing about her. She also has blue eyes with a slight, little bit darker ring close to the iris. It's like a dark gold almost. She is also, which I totally forgot, she is also a half-elf as well. I think today she probably just woke up and kind of put on more casual clothes. She doesn't have her armor on or anything. She wasn't really planning on leaving the Nevermore today, or at least right after breakfast. So she's probably just more in like her regular tunic and pants, and probably just found she's trying to read a book in the library, but she's reading the same pages, but she can't seem to get her mind off of what happened at breakfast and the note and everything like
Yeah.
that. She's trying to distract herself, but she can't.
What are you reading in the library? What's the book about? What did you find?
That's a great question. She probably what would she read? That's actually a good question. I don't know. She probably just went and pulled a book off of like the probably one of the history shelves, I would think.
Okay.
She just kind of perused and found one that she thought she might find interesting and has just been trying to read that for a while.
You find yourself attempting to read this book, and as you pull it off the shelf, you open it to this page without reading the title, and you start to try and read, and you keep reading the same couple sentences over and over again. You get very clearly, in even just the first couple of paragraphs that are on this page that you keep reading over and over again, that this is a book about animal populations in the local area and how they are monitored, measured, and how they're kept up with, like how local hunters are only allowed to hunt in certain seasons. This is basically a field guide to hunting here near Wandermere.
Interesting.
And you're reading this book, and so you keep journeying on this page, and you're stuck on that idea of what happened at breakfast this morning with the letter, and it all doesn't make any sense. There was this prophecy written that you sort of received part of, and then there was a whole thing with Balthazar where something happened and he spit fire out of himself. That was crazy. Where do you wander to the most about that conversation? Like, what part of that is the most distracting to Carissa?
Probably how quickly that it went from, oh, this is a interesting note, to, hey, how important is Veritas to everybody? Just like that flip.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the tone shift and the tension that kind of immediately came about especially between Lorik and Balthazar. Because from my perspective, that got very, very tense very quickly. Like, almost like there's more between them than I know. So she's also trying to figure out if Balthazar and Lorik have more of a history than Carissa knows.
Sure.
Or have been told.
Definitely. So you begin to reflect on these relationships. And I perhaps give me an insight check at disadvantage because you are a bit distracted by it, but in a way that feels almost non-progressive. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if you don't make progress on this roll, but if you do make progress, that's great.
Okay. And you said a insight check at disadvantage?
Yes.
Okay.
Dice scribbling.
Sorry, I forgot my dice, so Steven had to run and get them for me.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Hashtag best boyfriend.
Oh, well, that serves me right. Okay, how's an 11?
An 11. As expected, you are stuck on the idea that they might know each other in some way that you're not aware of. And that kind of sticks with you. And it's the thing you're like, but how would they? Because I've known them about the same amount of time. Like, I've known Laura a longer time, but then, like, just the math of that doesn't make sense to you. Like, the only situation that would explain that is that Lorik and Balthazar both went into that place within the vault. If you remember, there was that, like, local, like, manager's office that was down there for the excavation area. And they both went in, and then they came out, and that was the only time they were really alone together. And so it's so strange that they would have this weird dichotomy now, when you seemingly know everything he does. You have about the same amount of information. And I think you're led to believe that maybe something happened in there that you aren't aware of. which has led this conversation to be a little different between the two of them, right?
Mhm.
With that being said, I think as you're coming to the antithesis of this thought, the door opens and Balthazar steps into the library. Balthazar, you have found Carissa.
Balthazar comes in, and is again like in his perpetual hunch. His hands kind of clasped as he kind of like attempts to kind of like straightening himself up, clears his throat, just Carissa,
Balthazar?
I feel as though I need to apologize to you.
Oh?
I have, in my own way, been as honest as I felt with you and Lorik. But I feel as though you need more from me.
I mean, I wouldn't turn it down. Here, come have a seat. You standing there fiddling is just distracting. Come have a seat.
Balthazar closes the door behind him and finds the seat and just takes a little sit in it. What is it that you want?
That's a very broad question. Are you talking about in regard to this morning and the letters, or are you talking about more in a broad sense, or?
From me. Let's start there.
Well, some honesty would be ideal right now.
There's kind of like this like rumbling as though a what we would consider like when you go inside of a server room and there's like that like rumbling hum of just like all around you.
There's like a whirring machinery kind of effect here.
Yeah.
Different gears and things spinning, fans cooling things off that you can't see. He's a walking white noise machine.
That yes. uh Look, I kill people. That I don't think is a surprise to you or Lorik, but that seems to be an issue for him. But
why would you killing people be an issue for Laura?
Balthazar tries to shrug, realizes that he can't, and then just like raises his hands. I don't know, but that seems to be a problem. My list is more than just a list of people my boss wants dead. I kill people and he gives me a name. Those names are people that have earned more than death. For some reason, I feel compelled to hunt these people down. And the most recent names, I believe, are hunting Lorik. That's why I'm so interested in him. He is bait.
Interesting. So you two don't necessarily have a past or a history together. It is just more circumstances that the people you're looking for are looking for Lorik.
Past is behind us. I always look towards the future, and my future with Lorik seems to be quite bright.
It's a very unsettling way of putting that.
I hold no animosity towards you or him. Never have, never will. I'm not very good with dishonesty. But
That's true, but you do seem very good at not being completely openly honest. Just an observation, not an attack. You were very skilled in the art of being honest but leaving things out.
well, I will always take a compliment when offered. But now, here's the real rub. Can you live with that? Can you live with having someone who desires your best interests at heart, even if someone has to die to get there?
I mean, I guess it depends on whose name is on the list. It's a very complex question.
Oh, now who's being dishonest? Seriously, you're all right with having a murderer on your team?
I mean, when you think of it simply, yes, you are a murderer, Lork is a murderer, but you're simply following the orders of your god, your deity. Just as the same that I am. Slightly different morals, possibly, probably, but all in all, we both just take orders from a higher power.
Deity is putting it on thick, but I do appreciate your, shall we say, pragmatic look on things. Now, I do have a favor, since we are being generous with each other. He reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out a monocle. And he gently, very ever so gently, like holding a butterfly, sets it in front of you. Can you identify this for me?
It's a monocle?
It's a brass monocle with a red lens, I think.
That is true.
I will not pick it up, but I will lean and look at it closely, and I would like to do should I do investigation or history check?
You can cast Identify.
Oh, fuck you, right? Sorry.
She got excited there.
Is that what you would like to do?
Okay. Yes, I would like to do that.
What does your spell look like as you cast Identify?
I would say
Excuse me.
I reach out and kind of hold my hand over the object, and then there's kind of like a glowing gold light that emits from my hand, and just like the swirling tattoos on my face, little tendrils of gold come out of my hand and kind of just move around the object, and kind of engulf it.
This golden light expands over the object, and then you see it encircles it, and it shines brightly. And it is almost like a transference of knowledge to you happens as this light goes off. It is bright for only a brief moment, then it goes out. And you understand that about this object. Balthazar has the ability to see invisibility once per day using this object. He can put it over his eye and be able to see just as anyone else could. Like an invisible creature if he chose to do so. The effect lasts for an hour. There is also a secondary effect. If he flips the slight button on this monocle, the lens will change color from red to blue. And instead of being able to see invisibility, he will be able to see the ethereal plane. That is, however, just a thing he can do.
That is quite a powerful monocle. In the name of honesty, of course, can I ask how in the world you got it?
You see, there's always payment for good work. I earned it from my master. Now, another question. Why does Lorik keep disappearing? Is that something that's been going on for a while?
Yes.
Is it as irritating to you as it is to me?
Not necessarily irritating, just because, I mean, it was at first, but, I mean, he always comes back, so, and he always seems to have at least decent information when he comes back. So it doesn't necessarily bother me. I do still worry, yes, but I don't really find it an annoyance.
Well, with everything that's been going on in the city... Oh,
I
sorry.
figured it out. You find it an annoyance because you're worried that one of your targets will show up when you're not there and attack Laura.
This is outrageous.
Carissa, no insight check required. That's absolutely the reason he is so invested in why Lorik disappears all the time.
No, that's exactly what it is.
100%. Even if he attempts to dissuade you in some way, this is like a triple disadvantage, like deception check for him. It will never work. Yeah.
I'll use my inspiration.
But yeah, so that is essentially exactly why. Speaking of that, we kind of leave this conversation here as you guys are both discussing the nature of your acquaintance and the group dynamic and things, and we cut back to the other two members of our party so far, kind of traveling through the city. Lorik, are you following? Like I understand that I mentioned to you, you guys are going in the same direction. So it's kind of difficult not to follow Elikas, but are you following in a way that is like spy, like thief, like I'm watching Elikas, or are you more or less just observing from the city street as you guys walk?
Honestly, assuming I've heard that the Nevermore's gotten around, and given all of the other guests that have been staying within, I don't think I pay any attention to Elikas. I think
Okay.
with my normal movement speed, I believe I would arrive faster than them. So,
You absolutely would. I was gonna actually get to that, but if you pay no attention to Elikas, you arrive back, um, you know, leaps and bounds before Elikas will ever arrive. So you arrive back at the Nevermore. You kind of receive this gist from Poe that basically explains that, everybody's kind of upstairs hanging out in the library, if that's where you want to head. And you kind of just see that the place is your oyster. Where are you going to head in the Nevermore? Are you going to go and rejoin your friends, or are you going to go do something else for a little while?
I think it's that time I rejoin my friends.
Okay. Right as soon as you're about to head off to go rejoin your friends, you actually hear Poe speak up again. Master Lorik, I forgot. You see he walks over to a podium by the front door. A Drake Warden came by earlier and was looking for the three of you. And I received a missive from them, signed and delivered to you directly. So, you see he pulls out from the podium a missive or a written letter that has the stamp of the Drake Wardens on it. And he hands it in a direction towards you with his gloved hand.
A moment of shock moves across Lorik's face before he starts almost internally sweating for a moment before he calms himself and just looks back towards Poe. thank you. Oh, I'll take this upstairs.
If it helps, I'm not quite sure what they were asking of you, but apparently it's some sort of arraignment or something, a discussion of the events that occurred, to perhaps why this event might have happened in the city. Um, eh, Nothing to be concerned about if you're worried of that nature, but um, I leave the rest to you, Master Lord. You see, he very quickly goes back to cleaning and removing things from the table. It's about like early morning, but just after like kind of breakfast time. So he's like removing plates from the table and taking out midday sweets so that people can have a snack if they want, refreshing the tea and um, uh, kind of journeying on through that. You make your way upstairs and eventually find your friends within the library. Um,
I would like to read the missive before I arrive at the library.
sure, you can open it. You pop the wax seal on it.
Yes.
As you pop the top, you open it. It's written on 300 gold. No, I'm kidding. It's a reference back to a TikTok couple that I despise more than anything. Because they constantly are just buying excessively expensive goods for no reason when there are perfectly good like goods available out there. 700 pound fucking umbrellas when they could buy a $30 umbrella and work just the
The
same.
thing I don't understand
Oh
is
my
why do they need to talk
God.
to the manager? Why do they need to talk to the
Right.
manager?
Why do they need a private showing with the manager to find an
Jesus
umbrella?
Christ.
Why did they have to write their shit for them?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. That was a very, very quick detour, but I had to point it out because I keep making the reference and you're not going to understand it if I don't make the educational expose here. So
See,
there's
And then
that.
Launch
and then he
TikTok. I have no idea what you're talking about.
And then he sends the videos to me, and then I rage back at him about them.
Yeah, we're both mad. We're both mad haters. It's fine.
All right, continue.
Anyway, you open it up. It's a regular piece of paper. But written on the inside is basically it's a summons. They are doing an arraignment at a courthouse here in town for people who might have been associated with any sort of events that have occurred in the recent time frame. And you were identified as well as the rest of your party and Fendemir as people who should be in attendance. Even if you're not being called to actually speak at this event, you are being summoned as like, well, you might know some shit, and if we get to this subject and then you have a thing that you might need to say, we need to know what it is. So there's this whole kind of ordeal here. But this summons has been delivered directly for the four of you.
Wonderful. And it mentions us by name.
Yes,
What name does it use for me?
it uses Lorik because that's the last person that they remember contacting with in Samar.
Wonderful.
How the fuck do they have my name?
I will arrive up to the library, having neatly tucked the letter back into its envelope, and just quickly resealing the wax seal. Not necessarily in such a way to hide that I'd opened it, but not so much that I really care about being caught. Just sort of out of habit.
Mhm.
And I work my way back towards the library.
You arrive at the library. As I mentioned before, you step in. I forgot to describe the library for people at home, so it's a bit of a very quick overgloss. But essentially, the library is it's a book lover's dream, to put it in the nicest way possible. It's a wet dream for a book lover. There's a fireplace. There's a bunch of seating. There are two bay windows on both sides of the fireplace that have like padding and pillows, and these bay windows go up about 9 feet to the ceiling, where they then concave and come back to the building. The shelves, it's a 2-story book kind of library here. The shelves on the bottom floor go from floor to ceiling. And then there is like a couple of staircases that lead up to the second floor, where there is basically another balcony, another couple of small little seating areas with 1 or 2 seats. And then every other wall is adorned with books and shelves, except for the wall that has to do with the fireplace. and the two bay windows. There is plenty of places to sit in here, and the cataloging system in here is unique because it is one very interesting individual cataloging all the books. But once you eventually figure it out, it's quite easy to go around and navigate and find where stuff is, because it's generally located in like regional areas, time frame, and then like historical necessity type information, and then like weird random stuff you might not need to know. And then there's like a whole like fictional section where they have all the religious texts. I'm kidding. Um they they have like a religion kind of like world religion section which talks about all the different deities and things in the world. And then they have like books on magic theory and things that have to do with the nature of magic itself. Um, and the library is quite comprehensive, and not super encompassing to where like you could find anything you ever wanted in here, but good enough. Lark, you step into this space, and you can see that Carissa and Balazar are sitting in some chairs on the far side of the room.
Do I catch any portion of their conversation?
I'm gonna just go ahead and say no. Just to you catch them in kind of a laugh, in a pause between conversation as you open the door. Um, they're both giggling to one another. As Carissa seems to have warmed up to Balthazar in some way.
I sort of step in the door holding the letter in my hand, clearly burdened by something. And I'm just going to close the door behind myself, step up to whatever table the party's sitting around, pull myself up a chair, just sort of tossing the envelope onto the table. We appear to be in a bit of a predicament, and unfortunately there's a lot more than just that letter.
Another letter. Who?
Jake orders
Work. Oh,
and
just.
delivered.
I'm not touching it. I like hold my hands up. I'm like, I'm not touching this letter this time. After what happened this morning, I think Lorik's the only one who should be allowed to touch the letter.
I've already read over it. They are summoning us to see if we know anything about the attack. As far as I can tell, they don't suspect us as of yet. But I'll tell you right now that I'm not going.
How do they even know where to find us?
I couldn't tell you. Best guess, Nevermore is the place to be at the moment. Someone may have seen us coming and going. Eyes in the skies, after all.
Well,
Good.
I mean, we've gotten 2 letters, both interesting.
The prophecy letter did mention a courthouse.
God damn it. Okay. I'm actually gonna reread that. I'm gonna take my letter out and I'm going to read back over it really quick.
Okay, yeah. If you want to read it for the class, go ahead.
I think I only have part of it written down, but I know I have the rest saved somewhere. Hold on.
I have the whole thing if you want me to send it to you.
Yes, please. I really just want to look over. I just want to look over the last paragraph that was revealed. I just don't remember which part I wrote down. Oh, I did write down the last part. Cool.
That's all.
Let's see. Okay, so I'll probably just reread the last part of the.
You could just do the whole thing. It's all right.
Okay. Oh God, you're making me read out loud. Okay. The Advocate
Popcorn.
of Seasons visits Summer's shepherd in the absence of dawn. Oh my lord! This stranger shall bring with them hope and riches with ripples in tow. Not all in the assembled courts dispute your claim. Find us, and you will claim your fame. Perhaps in time there will be more to see. And then weird stuff happened, and then the second paragraph appeared. Investigation under starlight brings you one step closer to closure. A memory absconded from you points to a basic truth forlonged. Owls, while silent, need a nest, a shelter for rest. I'm sorry. Improvisation is the better part of planning. An understanding of contracts will prove useful in court. Ledgers of death and life are given new meaning under the vice. The road forks in all directions. Stick to your gut and you will find the right connections. More answers may come in time long past.
Stick to your gut, huh?
Stick to your gut.
So you've lost a memory.
I wouldn't say I've lost memories, but many were taken away from me and then returned. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few more that had been kept from me.
Would you like me to do some probing? See if there's torn edges that we might stick back together.
Before we get through all that, I do have some other information. Carissa, what were your thoughts on the man you met in the Thieves Guild, Adrian?
He seemed very righteous, very sure of himself and his purpose. He didn't strike me as a threat at first, but once he mentioned Dawn, he very quickly made me on edge.
Well,
why did you go looking for him?
I did more than just that. I spoke with the man.
And he's still breathing. It's kind of a surprise.
He didn't seem the type of person to... Well, it didn't seem like a good idea. Much as it was possible. I didn't come to kill the man. Just curious. They were looking for Dawn. You know that, right? Did he
I do.
tell you why?
No, he didn't say why. He didn't even mention Dawn till the very end of the conversation when he told me to tell her that he said hello and he was looking for her.
Yes. He told me he was looking to make amends, redeem himself and his people. Though it all felt very... It felt like they had their own idea of redemption.
I mean, you saw what they did to Dawn. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Quick point of order. You guys traveled with Dawn long enough to know that Adrian is not the person who did that to her.
Yeah.
So Adrian is actually the person above those people. And this is something that might have been explained to you at some point, but Adrian exists in a kind of like a supervisory role to these other kind of like fathers of the faith who exist within these communities. And he ventures there to go and, kind of make sure everything's up to snuff. So just to kind of clarify some of that information, because I know Dawn's not here to explain any of that, and Dawn probably won't be returning anytime soon to give any of that information. So that is something I will give you for free. Continue.
Well, Adrian seemed very, very well connected, and if I had thought getting rid of him would solve the issues, then I would have, but I think that would only have opened another can of worms.
So do you think he might be an ally?
No, he's not an ally. Not that I think, at least. He's dangerous, that's for certain. But not someone we can get rid of directly. We'll have to deal with him roundabout means. Or at the very least, hopefully draw his attention away from us long enough for us to escape. I don't feel like bringing down a whole religion upon our purview here. He handed me this as well, and I have Seraph materialize out of my shoulder here, rising from the cracks in my cloak and armor, the Shadow Cat with the red rope in their mouth. And I take the cord and I place it upon the table. If we are ever within Ilmater's quarters, we are supposedly able to use that to gain an audience, ask for assistance, whatever we need, supposedly. Oh, and do any of you recognize the name Renilda? I believe it was.
Do I roll a history check?
Sure. Both of you give me history checks.
Do.
We'll use my special card dice.
I would say at about this
Nat
time as
20.
well. A natural 20?
I got a nat 20.
You're
Plus
gonna
6
fuck
for
me
history,
so
so.
hard. Oh no. Okay, cool. So natural 20. Balthazar, what did you roll?
A 7.
A 7. Okay,
I
cool.
failed
Not quite,
class.
not quite a natural 20, but you know,
I wonder
close.
who knows more about this person.
It's probably maybe fitting that you roll a natural 20 here as well. But we'll jump to this here in a second. It's about this time that, as you mentioned this name Renilda, Elikas finds themselves entering this library. Elikas, as you enter the library, you see that there is a gentleman who's wearing guard armor, discussing with a half-elven kind of looking woman with long, like golden red hair, and a very large automaton with mostly iron and occasionally some wood on his figure. As you look in, you see the three of them are discussing something in one of the more centralized, like, seating arrangements in this space. You step in here. You are looking for a very specific set of texts that have to do with legalese from this part of the world. And you were told that they'd be found in a certain section of this library, which is where you're heading. But you do see these three people. How would you react to finding more people in the library than just yourself?
So Elikas is very much a loner. So they probably when they walk in, they probably see them and then just immediately turn the other direction, like to the right or to the left, and just look for the books. But keeping an eye on them as well, just curious, but not talking to them, not confronting them at all.
Okay. When you find these books, are you going to sit in the library and read them, or are you going to take them back to your room?
The library is big, right?
Yeah, it's huge.
So I'll probably find a corner just because easy access. If I finish a book, I can just grab another book instead of grabbing a book, going back to my room, grabbing a book, going back to my room.
Sure. And you also know you only have like a couple hours before you've got to go to the courthouse.
Yeah.
So you're kind of hanging out here reading a couple of things before you go. But yeah, you're gonna go upstairs and kind of read a little bit. Cool. You guys watch as this figure enters, observes all of you, and then immediately walks up the stairs and disappears.
As they enter the room, I immediately go and grab the envelope and the cord from the table, stuff it in my jacket. I forgot there were so many visitors to the Nevermore now.
Elikas, you would clock that 100%. There's no stealth in that maneuver at all. That's just something that you would All right, cool. Got that.
Well, they're just letting anybody
Oh.
in these days.
Damn.
No,
Lork
no one,
paused
no
for a
one left.
second,
All right.
and cuts
Ursa
the smile off his face.
Will glance over as the door opens because she just assumes it's Poe coming to check on them. So
Mhm.
she just kind of glances over and sees this new person, and she just kind of like she just kind of is like taken aback because same kind of thing. Like, oh, there are other people staying here. And she just kind of watches this new person just walk in the door, clock the three of us, and then basically just do that like awkward anxiety, just like immediate turn and walk away.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I've stumbled into a conversation I wasn't invited to. I'm gonna immediately turn around and walk the other way and go read some stuff. See you later.
After they ascend the stairs to the 2nd
Mhm.
floor of the library here, Lork is going to have Seraph slink off his shoulder, slink into the ground, sink into the ground rather, and sort of slowly make their way up, following Ilikas. And I'm going to lean into my fellow party members here and attempt to, as quietly as possible, just whisper to them. That individual was aboard Adrian's ship.
Were they traveling with him?
I wasn't there long enough to find out.
Question, Lorik. Who's Adrian?
Priestly figure of the Ilmater faith, looking for Dawn, added conversation with Carissa here. They were in the Thieves Guild.
I see. So you wish me to go and get information out of this person?
Just saying to be cautious.
Well, let's just obviously, if they were a threat to us, Belle would not have let them in. So let's let them go about their business.
I should also mention,
Mhm.
on the missive from the Drake Wardens, you would understand that that missive is for today. They are expecting an appearance in the courthouse today.
But I think we should get the fuck out of Dodge.
The Drake Wardens are all over. If we don't show up here, they're going to be looking for us.
You told me this house could.
It can, Balthazar. And so be it. The Drake Wardens have not found me yet, and they've been looking for some time.
I just don't want us to have an even bigger target on our backs.
They're already looking for me, so it's not going to change anything.
Don't forget, I've escaped with you all that time ago. They're probably still looking for me as well.
Exactly, and you want us to go to their courthouse? No.
I'm simply curious if going would maybe put us back under their radar, because if they know we're here, we can come to the Nevermore and blip out of existence and go somewhere else.
I'm just gonna say, if they know about me, I don't think we're getting out of here easy peasy.
Well, as far as I can tell so far, they...
God damn.
Perfect
Alright.
As far as I can
transition.
tell,
Perfect transition.
Save that one for later.
Exactly.
as far as I can tell, they don't yet understand the inner workings of the Nevermore. We still have that to our advantage. Though it may weigh on the rest of your consciences that we are perhaps stealing away several dozen guests away from their hometown.
Oh, shit, you're right. Could we just kill everybody in the building?
No.
Damn it.
Don't think that's going to put us any closer to the Warden's good list.
I look at Balthazar and I'm
Certainly
like,
say, without any sort of role required, I think you all are well aware the Wardens would not be happy with that fucking line of thinking.
I look at Balthazar and I'm like, well, that would make you a murderer. And we talked about that earlier, didn't we? She just like levels a look at him.
Yes, Balthazar, that would make you a murderer.
I would be so distraught to be considered a murderer.
Carissa rolls her eyes.
What has Seraph seen anything in particular thus far?
As far as Seraph understands, Elikas walked over to a shelf, specifically the legal section of this sanctum. Found a couple books just from an area that seems to be about this local area, and has walked over to a small little nook and is reading from these different manuscripts. But Elikas actually seems to be reading quite quickly for someone who would be reading these books. You would okay. So the context that you would get from this is not that Elikas is reading these books, but skimming as if they are refreshing their memory.
Gotcha. That is a 23 for Seraph's stealth.
Yeah, I think Elikas has a pretty average passive perception. Let me just go double check real quick, but I'm pretty sure a 20 something is going to be more than sufficient. So
I hope so.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Elikas is just currently reading.
Okay. I will bring Seraph back to my side with a mental command. And just the rest of the party go. I think it's best we find someone more private to talk. I have some other information to give.
Cool.
As Carissa sees Seraph reappear, she just has the thought of like, I wonder what the library looks like as Seraph. Like, thinking back to when she was in the Thieves Guild and like was able to basically be Seraph and go from 2D to 3D.
Seraph gives you a knowing look, and then sits down on their hind legs and begins to lift up the right leg and lick, to start cleaning.
It's like a jungle. Now, which of you has the nicer room?
Do I even have a room? I can't possibly remember.
We'll go to mine. She rolls her eyes whenever Balthazar says that. Because she also just, Carissa pictures Balthazar's room as just like almost barren of furniture and just like she pictures it like a young 20s male's first apartment where it's like completely bare except for like the mattress, a chair, and like a TV, except it's like, and then there's like random mechanical stuff just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, we can, let's convene in my room. I have a little table and desk and I think it'll be best. Unless you wanted to go to yours, Lorik?
No, thank you.
Oh, I'm sure your room's lovely.
All right.
Cool. You guys head to Lorik's room to go discuss some things. In the interim, Lorik, I know you've got a lore dump coming, here. What I am gonna do is kind of give you a quick second, to just maybe proclamate some of the things you learned for the group, just like outwardly. And then we're gonna do a smash cut. Basically, I'm gonna say it's gonna take you like an hour to get through the stuff that you learned, right? And then if you're examining this and this and this and this, right, I'm gonna let you do that. But I'm gonna very quickly jump from this excerpt here and have us skip forward just a little bit, as we are going to meet our final PC here within the Nevermore. Elikas, you are sitting in the library. You're reading, page turning, looking at different sections of legal documents, trying to figure out all the ways in which somebody could find a loophole or some sort of bylaw that might prevent construction, or things that might have been met. It's permanent. This is funny. That's funny. For now, final PC for now. The you are reading in this library, and eventually, a individual enters this space. Crystal, would you please describe your character to everyone as we are introduced to Ava?
Ava is quite small in stature. She is roughly 5 foot, petite. She is wearing a relatively large witch styled hat that's semi covering her face. She has shoulder length hair, a little bit past shoulder length hair, that is whiteous. No, not white, but it has little tips of white, but the rest is black with swirls of dark purple. Um, she's wearing a cloak that's hiding majority of her body, but you could see that her hands are peeking through with quite long claw-like nails that are black as oh, what is that stone? Oh, it's left my brain.
Obsidian?
Thank you.
Onyx?
Onyx.
Oh, no.
Onyx is the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Black as onyx, and her hands going up towards her forearm are also just black, as if she dipped her entire hand in ink. And her eyes are being covered by a veil, but her forehead's being peaked, and you see a tattoo of a crescent moon. And that's it.
Um, Perfect. You describe your character. This person enters the space, Ava. You enter a pretty well adorned library. You're used to living out in the middle of the woods where, you know, there's not a lot of this infrastructure. So it's always cool to go into a new building and look around. Like, people forget in real life that, like, you go into a new building and it's like, oh my God, I've never been in a building this big before. You're doing that, but all the time. Like, um, so you wander into this space, you see all these books. You are sent by your sister to retrieve the people who have been summoned to come to the courthouse for this local investigation that has occurred. So your first stop is to come here and retrieve. What you've been told is they are an advocate of the Office of Preemptory Catastrophic Deviation. This person is known as Elikas, and they are to be found somewhere within the network. You understand that there was some sort of exchange this morning where a local set of um, city guards had kind of informed your sister of where these people are all located. Um, and you have arrived here to basically collect them. You know that this person from the Office of Preemptory Catastrophic Deviation is here. And then you also know that there are 3 other witnesses you are to bring with you. One by the name of Balthazar, one by the name of Carissa, and one by the name of Aloric. And you understand that the benefactor of the hotel, his name is Poe, and he probably could point you in the direction of where those people are located.
Okay.
Yep. Um, but you enter the space, and only a brief second or two, you look around. You can see the warmth of the fire. There's a very pretty wooden shelving and the balcony and things in here. Remind you a little bit of home.
Hmm.
And in that kind of way, you walk in, you smile, and then you frown.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look over in the direction where you see Elikas is reading on the 2nd story.
I will make my way up to where they're reading.
Short moment, second later, you are standing in front of Elikas.
She clears her throat to get their attention if they haven't already noticed her.
So Ilocos knows that they're there, but they continue to read, uh, ignoring the clear from Ava.
She just blinks. Oh, not obviously you can't see it, but she just. I believe you
Mhm.
are Elokos. Is that so?
They they do a deep sigh and then they close the book with one of their hands and just looks up and nods.
Well, you're you're wanted, and I'm supposed to bring you in.
Helios just kind of cocks their head to the side, confused, like kind of questioning what do you mean wanted?
You've been you've been called. She kind of sighs herself. The letter. We sent you a letter.
Helios then like checks their body and is like,
Elikas, you do have a letter. When you checked into the Nevermore, there was a letter waiting for you.
"Oh, I was never told
Mhm.
that. I'm sorry."
Sorry, I didn't have a chance to kind of give you that exchange. I was waiting for a second here to kind of jump in, but yeah, you also received one of these letters, but your name was the only one listed as being
Mhm.
summoned.
Okay. Uh, so then they pull out the letter, uh, and shows it to Eva.
Yes, that letter. I'm supposed to retrieve you. They're doing the court soon. And I'd rather not tell you to go. I'd rather you go by yourself, by your own free will.
Helios then looks at the letter, looks back up to Eva, and then just puts the books back. Like they stand up, and since Eva is like 5 foot, Ilukos is kind of towering over them a little bit, and then they put
Mhm.
the books back, and they gesture towards Eva, like lead the way.
Don't worry, we'll be back for your book another time. But follow me. And she whips around and starts leading the way.
Mhm. You begin to head out into the hallway. Um, as you approach the hallways of this place, I should mention it's set up a lot like very linear. So the landings, these it's a big like spiral-ish style staircase, all the way down to the base floor that then extends forward. And then all of these floors are stacked one on one on one on one. And they're just a straight hallway with rooms on both sides, and then there's like usually a bath or some sort of restroom on every floor. Um, and so essentially, this place is huge. But you step out into the hallway. You step out onto the beautiful wood flooring with the carpet, um, kind of stretched out into the middle of these wooden sections, and you can see even the like metal like stair runners are in place on the different steps all the way down. You've never seen like I mentioned that the library itself looked a little bit like home. As you step back out here, the wonder returns. As this place is very ritzy and like glammy, like it looks like it's a place where people would want to stay.
Hmm.
Real quick, as you step out into the hallway, is your intention to find Poe to figure out where these people are, or are you just gonna walk through the hotel and figure out where these people are?
I just. Yeah, no, I'm going to find them myself.
Okay. Cool. Elikas,
No.
just gonna let you know, you're a little annoyed. Because this person showed up to show you the way to leave, and then seems to deviate for a series of like 30 minutes to walk through every hallway and knock on every door.
I was going to tell them they could wait out in the foyer. It will not take me long.
uh, so, do you want Ilukos to wait in the foyer?
Yes, that's up to you
Okay.
now.
Well,
Elikas, I feel like from a perspective of somebody who knows your character, you are very much like, well, if I go wait in the foyer and then you take forever, we're never gonna get this done. So I'm gonna walk with you, and then we'll be done with this, and we can go to the next thing. I'm very busy, and I've got a time frame, and I gotta be done, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like even if it suggested that you go wait in the foyer, you're like, I'm good. Like, I'm just gonna
So
um
at the suggestion, Elokos just shakes their head and like not not like rushes you, but kind of does a like like
Hurry. And delay.
uh-huh.
yeah. Are you sure you know where you're going?
Yes.
Like,
This whole time, by the way, they're not speaking. They're just gesturing.
mhm. um it would take you a brief set of moments here. And we'll come back to this because basically what's going to happen is Laura's going to do their lore dump, and then you guys are going to interrupt that conversation. So, smash cut back to about an hour ago. Lorik, you guys enter into Carissa's room, and you basically are like, I have a conversation that I need to kind of expel to you. Go ahead.
I will ask one question at RP, and then I will move out of character.
Sure, go ahead.
Do any of you recognize the Treaty of Fet
Oh.
Terau?
Sorry, one quick point of order. Renilda. There was a nat 20 on the board that I forgot to honor earlier.
I was
Renilda.
gonna wait until.
Yeah. No. Perfect. Carissa, even with all of this stuff going on, you do remember something very important. Renilda is the person who was in charge of Tanith before your mother decided that you guys would kind of move out there. Like, you were not around when these decisions were made, but this is something that was told to you a long time ago. So that Renilda had kind of been in charge of Tanith, and that your mom had to move to this place and take over and start performing the duties in this location. And it was like, that's kind of strange, but okay, Mom, that's what you say. So Renilda was just like the person your mother kind of kicked out of their station and moved to the material plane.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's how you know who Renilda is. So natural 20,
Cool.
Renilda, probably not your biggest fan.
It's totally probably not going to come back and bite me in the ass later, but that's fine. That's cool. Everything's fine. Cool.
So,
Cool.
arriving in your room, Carissa, Lorik finds a spot to set down all of the materials he's gathered and asks to the group here, does the Treaty of Fet Derhau mean anything to any of you?
Nope.
Not to my
Yeah, it
knowledge.
probably wouldn't mean anything to you either, Carissa. I'm going to be completely
Cool.
honest. It's
Nope.
probably not something, even if your mom was discussing stuff about it's probably not a conversation she would have had in your presence. So,
Gotcha.
Let's just say it's a very important treaty signed a decent while ago to govern, well, it governs a lot more than we thought it did. And out of character, because this will take a while to explain,
Mhm.
Lork has received quite a bit of information from the documents he retrieved from Shenant's office in the Thieves Guild there. He has thoroughly translated much of it, and he is going to give a very brief overview what's going on. However, he will let you guys look over the documents yourselves. Namely, the Ocean Sun Shipping Company is connected to the birth and death certificate trade. They're also connected to the healer that I stole the healing potions from a while ago. And that was in the city of Masara, the city with the big old obsidian tower.
Yes.
There is a series of notes I have found from Shanat here. The first of which discussed laws between several elven nations, including Eldir, Valdian, and Tanith. At first, a bunch of the laws between the three countries here, and I believe there were other countries mentioned as well, but those are the big three. At first, the laws regarding citizens were fairly similar. However, over time, Eldir's laws became much more strict upon their citizens. And further down the list, there is more notes about specifically the Treaty of Fet Derhau. Specifically, it came to light that Elidir had been forcing the Elven Oracle to always pick another Elidirian citizen. Basically, they were gaming the system for a long time. This caused a great bout of outrage on all sides. Um, and the treaty was specifically set up to force Elidir to share the Elven Oracle, no longer allowing them to keep it for themselves. Um, of course, this was also met with great outrage by the Elidarian citizens, as they felt the Oracle was being forcibly taken from them, as they staunchly defended that the Oracle just so happened to constantly be Eldarian. Um, Lork then explains that there was another portion written beneath this in a coded language that he was able to transcribe and decode that discusses the second portion of the Treaty of Fet Derhau. Um, and this portion was hidden from the public. It was not ever proclaimed or announced to the rest of the people. Um, and the second portion specifically talks about deities and how to quote deal with them. And that is how far I got in writing my, you know, recap of all my notes. So now I have to so I can zoom through my actual notes and read off of here.
Yeah.
Specifically, this portion of the document was written by Everett, which, if I remember correctly,
Thank
is
you
the
so
person we
much.
met earlier, who gave us special things.
You have not met Everin in this game. Everin has been kind of alluded to. You met a guy named Percival.
Percival, but he knows Everett.
But he knows Everin. He works for Everin.
Yeah.
As part of the Order.
Hi.
This treaty also discusses how magic will work on the material plane.
Welcome.
They also discuss what is banned
Hi,
on the material plane,
Alice.
magic-wise. It also discusses what is allowed in the Feywild and what is not allowed in the Feywild, and how magic will operate in all nearby planes. This section also details how the Obsidian Towers will abjure extraplanar entities and deities in general, their direct influence. So the towers themselves keep away these outside influences. However, there are a few deities that are given clearance to move beyond these towers, namely Mistra, Kelvmore, Helm, and the last name, which is illegible and unable to be named by Lork. This section was meant as a treaty between all sides, meant to keep the gods and everyone else happy with the sort of workings of the world. This treaty also mentions the Long Death, which was a period in history where there was a massive magical mishap. And with this treaty, they are hoping to avoid another long death. Namely, this treaty also talks about how the material plane itself is wrapped around by the Feywild, and that those lost in the Feywild, or people regularly were getting lost in the Feywild before all these towers were set up. And now that there is a much larger separation between the regular realm and the Feywild, this no longer occurs very much. There's also a series of acknowledgments from several high-ranking magic casters to create new types of magic casters that are still able to commune with the Feywild now that it has been separated from the material plane. This document further discusses the creations of witches' stations and the work that they perform to ensure that the Feywild and the material plane are still able to communicate with one another, and the duties that they must uphold to ensure balance in the world is maintained. I'll leave that part out. Let me read through my notes really quick. There previously was a law forbidding people from traveling to the Feywild. However, the night that Lorik's father became councilman, that law was abolished. There is a rumor that Corellian, the elven god, banned elves from traveling to the Feywild. There was a building erected in my hometown that held a gateway to the Feywild, where people were traveling and trading with Feywild citizens. As well, there are a few complaints mentioned in this document. Before Valdian was even known as Valdian, they had staunchly accused Eldir, which is my home country, of creating the vast desert that now covers a large portion of Valdian. According to them, there was a lush grassland that once owned, sort of covered that area, before in 5 decades' time quickly became a full-fledged desert. Eladir, of course, refused this claim and staunchly believed that they had nothing to do with this. And shortly after the desert was created, explorers from Eladir miraculously discovered the island nation, or discovered the island and created the nation of Tanith as they quickly settled it. Finally, I also know that there is a full copy of the Treaty of Fet Derhau located within Eladir, specifically within a courthouse. That will have further information based on everything that is said here. And last but not least, in Shanon's journals, she had a full written out plan on how to kill each and every single one of us. Did I miss anything?
I think you got it. Nailed it. Go ahead and take an inspiration from me as well.
Ooh, notes.
Woohoo! Perfect. Any questions from the other two players who are in this moment about these notes?
Where was the full copy of the treaty?
Located in Lorik's hometown.
Yep.
What's the name of that?
Do I have the name of that?
I mean, you should. Give me 1 second. Let me go.
What did you say in your spiel? My hand is cramping so bad from how fast I was writing.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's all chicken scratch. I don't know if
I mean, he just said that it was the nation of Eldir, and like there was a gateway in his hometown. But give me just a minute, and I can kind of give you an actual like city name.
I'm sure there's a city name in my notes somewhere, but my note is several. I think it's like 50,000 words long, so
it's okay.
So,
through it.
No, you're good.
Warwick.
Control F.
Yeah, Control F city name.
Control city name.
Spell it out.
Warwick, now just to clarify, there is a piece of paper in your hometown which tells you how to kill gods.
Yeah, that's a thing. I don't like that.
Not kill per se. Just remove their influence for a time.
Are we talking days?
Decimating their following?
Nay, I'm thinking eras, millennias, perhaps. Do either of you know anything about the Long Death?
I think it's at this point when this question comes up that there's a knock on the door.
By the 7. Come in.
No, I'll get the door.
You say come in. Crystal, what does your character do as you hear come in?
Right as I go, I'll go get it. I go to stand. He says, "Come," Balthazar's like, "Come in," and I just kind of shoot him a look, and I still go over to meet the person at the door.
I will still try to
open the door. I would like to hide.
You could try.
Can I hide?
Go ahead and roll me a stealth check at disadvantage.
Sure. As far as Lorik is aware, Poe will knock on the door and say something. I don't know that he ever knocks on the door, doesn't say anything. And the fact that we ran into somebody earlier that Lorik does not trust, he's hiding.
Okay, cool.
That is at disadvantage an 18.
Dang.
An 18? Okay, cool. You go and hide. And Ava, you open the door.
Pardon my intrusion.
No intrusion. We always love to have new guests. Tell me, do you play cards?
I love cards. And then she has a grin on her face.
Don't encourage him. He's just him. Can we help you?
She shakes her head, but from the grin off her face, it goes, I was told to retrieve those who have received a letter, and she sounds very, monotoned and not really in for this because she was just forced by her sister.
Yeah.
And she looks at each and every one of you. Carissa, she looks at you. Balthazar looks at Balthazar. Where's the other one?
Now, you're gonna have to tell me if this is something I can do, just because I thought of it right now.
Sure.
Could I have gone into the painting?
Is that what you would have attempted to do to hide?
If possible, I think it would be funny. So yes.
I think I told you I was able to go into the painting, but there's now 2 paintings in my room. So I don't know if you would know which one I actually went into. No, I
I've
guess
definitely
did.
heard about
I
it.
did describe it.
Yeah, you've definitely described it before.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll try to go to that one first. If that doesn't work, I'll take an extra disadvantage. I don't care.
So you touch the painting.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Roll me a wisdom saving throw at disadvantage.
Let's go.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Am I within 10 feet of Carissa?
Sure.
Okay, Carissa, what's your charisma modifier?
My charisma modifier?
Yes.
You have an aura around you that allows him to have advantage.
Yes,
So
+3.
it's your charisma.
Yeah, you get a +3.
+3. That is a 19 on my saving throw.
A 19.
13 plus 3 plus 3.
Lorik disappears.
Do I see this happen? Do I see Lorik?
Yes, a
dive
bright
through the
light,
painting?
a flash of like magic occurs. Lorik disappears. The door opens.
I'm gonna say it so then I start having this conversation. I'm gonna say it takes a few seconds for it to click. That I just saw. That I most likely just saw Lorik dive through a painting in my room. And so like she's gonna kind of pause as this clicks, as you're like, where's the other? She's gonna be like,
Other? What other?
Kind of true though.
being needing to be saved is where he is. Can we
Oh,
meet
you mean
downstairs?
Lorik?
Can we meet you downstairs in a few minutes? I just have to go get him.
Ava, you know that you have your sister's dragon here, ready to take everybody like together.
Now, Ava.
Oh, you don't know my name.
Oh, now, Balthazar gets up to start walking towards you. And now, tell me, you are a dragon rider, is that correct?
She blinks at you. No,
Dangerous work, that dangerous work.
I am not the dragon rider you're speaking of.
Oh, then who are you?
She grins. A little bit different. A little bit darker. But I must retrieve all of you together.
Well, you
Well,
technically
we have to be there together, I'm sure.
You have retrieved all of us technically. One of us is
Peeks
just a little.
over. I do
One
not
of
see
us is
him.
just a little.
You don't see him in the room.
He's in the room, just not in the room. Here, just take Balthazar with you downstairs. We will meet you downstairs.
I will wait for you outside this door.
That is fine. As
That's
long as you wait outside. We will be out in just a few moments. Thank you. And I like kind of usher her out the door and close the door.
Balthazar like intertwines his arm with her and like leads her out the door.
So,
Now,
just to be clear, you touch Ava without her permission, correct?
I don't necessarily touch her, but I do like the thing where I just kind of.
I'm talking about Balthazar.
Oh, just kidding.
It's, I mean, yes, but it's less. It's more like chummy. It's not like pushing.
Yep. Roll me a wisdom, intelligence, and charisma saving throw, please.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
One sec, I'm good at one of those.
He said "and no."
You're within Carissa's aura, so you have that +3
Yeah, you get a +3 on your saves.
to all 3 of those rolls.
That's a 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 for wisdom.
Okay.
What was the other ones?
It's all of your mental stats: intelligence, wisdom, and charisma.
Intelligence is a 19, 22.
Okay.
And charisma is a 28.
A
Plus
28.
+3.
So you succeed against 2 of these and fail one of them. You understand how contracts work, Balthazar. The minute you touch Ava, you realize you made a mistake. This person is innately magical. Not like in the way that like some people are like, oh, I can cast magic. This person holds a station over magic, controls some part of magic in the world.
The
You
entity
touch
or this
them.
person?
This person has a title associated to them that is unbeknownst to you that controls an aspect of magic in the world. You touch this person, and Ava, this person touches you, and you get a flashback to when you were at home with your sister and she stole your journal. And you feel as though you could punish Balthazar right now.
She winces back and goes, fall.
What did you say to him?
Fall. Like, to fall down.
Balthazar, you lose control of your legs and you fall to the floor.
Now that is peculiar.
She's just breathing very heavily, just staring in your direction. Staring down, probably, at you now. Just do not touch me.
What does it look like as Ava grows more wicked in this moment?
There is a slight aura that's surrounding her. Particularly more into her hands, like there's a swirl of black going around her, and her hands start to tense up in a way to curl as her claws get a little bit more sharper.
Balthazar, from the floor, you look up to see this person standing over you like a tower. Their nails grow long and sharp, and their shadow begins to stretch over the room, engulfing every candle and snuffs them all out. Ava lets out a sigh. The candles relight. But Ava's hands do not return to the state they were before.
Did I see how she casts a spell?
There was no spell cast. You understand this is an innately magical thing that happens. Like, you're not a guy who's very well versed in magic, but you know what a spell looks like.
Mhm.
Not only did this person not cast a spell, this is an effect that just happened.
Well, no need to throw. No need to be upset. I kind of like brush my shoulder off. Now, it does appear that if this would be most awkward to have a conversation with me on the floor, perhaps we could dispense with the iniquities.
I just go, okay, let's go. And you feel as if you can stand up again.
Now, that was most unpleasant for someone who's supposed to be working for the judiciary,
I never said I did.
and yet you are collecting letters for them.
I'm only doing what my sister. And she stops herself.
Ah.
Hmm.
You know, I myself have a family. In fact, most people do.
I feel like this is Balthazar stepping out into the hallway and the door closing slowly behind them. Most people do.
Mhm.
A click. As we finish this, we cut very briefly back into the room. Carissa, you've asked for a moment alone. Ava has told you they will stand in the hallway. Not only did you notice Ava, but Elikas is standing out in the hallway as well.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do in this moment?
As like after Carissa kind of sees like them go out in the hallway and Balthazar just drop, she just like very warily watches this whole thing, and then Balthazar gets up, and kind of lets like she kind of closes the door when she's sure that Balthazar is like not in any actual danger. She's just going to take a breath, turn toward the painting, and just be like, of all the places you had to hide, Lorik, you had to hide in the painting, didn't you? You just had to jump in the painting. All right, I guess I gotta go get Lorik. And then she's gonna stalk over to the painting and just kind of like look at it for a second. And then, like, I guess, does the painting change? Like, can she see Lorik in the painting? Like, does the painting change at all now that there's a new person in there? Because I know the painting is of the ship, but like, is there anyone else new on deck or anything like that? I guess is my question.
Lorik's a pretty stealthy guy. I don't think you could see him even if he was in the painting.
Oh. Okay, she's just going to be mentally cursing Lorik in her head as she basically climbs into the painting as well to go get him.
You both climb into the painting, and that is where we'll end this session.
Ah.
Did I
just
make a
had to go
mistake?
into the painting. You just had to go back into the painting.
It's not my fault. Your room has cool paintings that you go inside them.
You could have hid in the bathroom.
Yeah, but I was sitting right next to a painting that you couldn't go inside. Why would I not?
To the bathroom. Could
You
have
can go
hide behind
Yeah.
the door.
I don't know.
Yeah, because Ava, a person who was sent by their sister to collect everyone, is just not gonna check the bathroom.
Right.
I don't know.
Everything.
I was like, all right, there are a couple places in this room. Where can I hide? Where can I hide? And I was like, oh yeah, there's these crazy paintings that go to different worlds. I'm gonna go in there.
Good
I don't think most
lord.
people check the paintings. I'm gonna check behind them, but
True.
Now I
I mean, you're
gotta
kind of
jump-
right about that. They didn't end up checking it, but
now I gotta
yeah.
jump through a painting and find you and probably talk with all the. Ugh.
I'm excited to see about what the painting's
But-
about.
But if I remember correctly, I still have the letter in my pocket. And more answers may come in time long past. And if I remember correctly, that is a painting from time long past. So maybe we just
See,
switch
Lorik
the
did a
plot
good
little
thing.
bit.
See, Lorik didn't fuck up your shit. Lorik only added to the story. See, see.
I will find this an acceptable answer, an acceptable solution now.
Lorik is a child at heart. He's like serious all the time, and he's like, wait a minute, but crazy painting. All right,
But
You know,
I could just
what
do
if I get
crazy
caught?
painting.
What if this goes wrong? I heard bad things about this painting, but also I've never been inside a painting before.
True.
Therefore, I'm jumping in.
True, true. Well, very nice. Well done. Sorry that there was a little solo-y session-ish style, but we had to get everybody's vignettes done to kind of get you all together. Now that I've got you all together, sort of, it should be very easy to move you from place to place, which is what I wanted. So, there we are.
I mean, I kind of liked it. Not gonna lie.
You're gonna have the same problem with Lorik as you did the first actual session of this campaign.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Lord.
You jumping into the painting saved my ass too. It was like, fuck, I can't really like motivate him in any way. But now I can.
Yeah, Lorik's whole thing is he is being chased by several people, and including the law. And someone from the law goes, "Yeah, we need to see you in court." I'm not
Yeah.
going there. Get me out of here.
See you in court, motherfucker.
You'll never see me again.
You went about as far the opposite direction as you could. Somebody knocked at the door asking for you, and you jumped into a painting.
I went to another plane, bitch.
You went.
Oh
I don't
my
even know if it's another
God.
plane. You like jumped back. You jumped back in time to like a little pocket time universe thing that
Never
only
find me if I go before I committed the crimes.
What's that defense from
You can't try me for crimes that haven't happened yet.
All right, Lord.
Did not the witnesses in their observing my crime also become co-conspirators in the creation of this crime? Like,
All right, Lorik. We gotta parent trap your parents on this boat
Oh,
in
no.
this painting, so that you
Sure
exist.
hope my parents aren't on this boat. What the hell are they doing here? Though I have an idea of what Matt might do, and I'm not. Lorik will not look forward to it.
yeah.
If I land in the ocean again, I'm gonna be pissed. I know that was my own fault because I rolled really crappy, but like if I land back in the ocean, so mad. At least I don't have my armor on this time, so at least I won't have like disadvantage.
Yeah, at least you won't be at disadvantage to swim.
I'm going to stop the recording and then I'm going to end stream. So
Cool.
I
Go
will
ahead.
be right back.
Goodbye,
No
stream.
worries.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye,
stream.
everyone.
Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Now, I'm wondering how attached to this character, Crystal.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I have no music because I just deafened everything. Give me 1 second. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for the raid from Alice. I really do appreciate y'all for being here on my first D&D stream, my officially second D&D campaign. Thank you for listening and thank you for joining. I hope to see y'all next Thursday, hopefully, for our quote-unquote second session. It's probably a lot of sessions instead, but I'm going to see who we can raid and go. Since we are doing DDD, I'm going to just raid another D&D-esque personnel. So give me 1 second. We'll see who recently started. And so that way... Oh, goddamn. You know, I'm gonna go with this one because they're doing 3D. So give me 1 second while I grab their name. Flush raid. Hey. All right. Thank you everyone for being here, and I'll see y'all on Saturday for my normal streams. Okay, bye.